A billionaire in a wheelchair. A girl with nothing but hope. And 5 words changed everything. Alexander Knight, one of America's richest men. Powerful, respected, untouchable, but tonight, he wasn't walking into the gala. He was wheeled in, paralyzed, broken by an accident. Doctors said he'd never walk. Cameras flashed outside the hotel. Reporters shouted his name. But Alexander stayed stone cold. Inside, the ballroom glittered. Crystal chandeliers. Expensive champagne. The city's elite laughing. But Alexander felt nothing. He was trapped in silence. A king without a throne, so he left. Rolled down a quiet hallway. And then he saw her, a waitress. Young, worn-out shoes. But her eyes, no pity, she met his gaze. And softly whispered words, "I don't think you're broken." Alexander froze. No one had said that. Not doctors, not family. "Broken?" he asked bitterly. "What am I waiting for?" The girl smiled faintly, waiting for someone to believe, "You can walk again." Her name was Emily Carter, a poor girl serving drinks, but her voice, unforgettable. 20 doctors disagree, he scoffed. But Emily didn't flinch. Sometimes the smartest people miss what the heart knows. Then she leaned closer. Her whisper burned into him. "I'll help you walk," and then she was gone. Back into the crowd, leaving the billionaire stunned. That night, Alexander couldn't sleep. Her words echoed in his head. The next morning, he gave an order. "Find the waitress, Emily Carter." Hours later, she stood at his door, nervous, holding her old coat. "Why tell me that?" Alexander's voice was sharp. "Why say I can walk and when doctors proved I can't?" Emily swallowed hard. Her voice shook but steady. "Because I watched my brother. Doctors said he'd never run." Her eyes filled with fire. "But I believed anyway. And today he runs free." For the first time, Alexander didn't feel like a patient. He felt like a man. Still, he scoffed. "You think belief fixes spines?" Emily's voice was calm. "No, but without belief, you'll never even try." Her words cut deep, deeper than any diagnosis. And in that silence, the billionaire made a choice. "Prove it, Emily. Show me what belief does." Emily froze. Her heart pounded fast. She had made a promise to a billionaire. "I'll try," she whispered, "but I need time and trust. Trust." The word felt foreign. He hadn't trusted anyone in years. But this girl, she wanted nothing. No fame. "Fine," he said coldly. "You have 2 weeks. Show me progress or you're out." Emily nodded. 2 weeks wasn't enough. But it was all she had. The next morning, she showed up again. No equipment, no medical tools. Just a notebook and fire. Alexander frowned. "You think a notebook heals?" Emily smiled faintly. "No, but discipline does." She had written down a plan. Breathing exercises, muscle stretches, visualization. Things she researched late at night. Things that once helped her brother. At first, Alexander resisted her. He was impatient, cynical, bitter. His pain made him cruel. "Why am I doing this?" His voice sharp, heavy with anger. "Doctors with degrees failed me, and you think you can?" Emily didn't flinch, didn't step back. She met his anger with calm. "Doctors treat the body, but healing begins with the mind." Something in her tone, steady, unwavering, made him pause. For days she guided him. At dawn, before her work. At night, after her shifts. Hands steady, voice gentle. And slowly, his walls cracked. He noticed she never complained. Sometimes skipping her own meals just to stay longer with him. Her shoes worn, spirit unbroken. One night, after endless failed attempts, he broke completely. "I can't do this," he muttered. His fist slammed the wheelchair arms. "I'm broken, Emily. Don't you get it?" Emily knelt in front of him. Her eyes carried strength and sadness. "You're not broken, you're fighting." Her hand brushed his trembling fingers. Fighters don't quit, not when someone still believes in them. Alexander's chest tightened. No one had spoken like this. Not with pity, not with expectation, but with faith, and in that moment, something shifted inside him. Not his legs, not yet, but his heart. Meanwhile, across the city, whispers spread. The billionaire CEO seen with a waitress? The media caught the glimpses. The board of directors grew restless. "Who is this girl?" they asked. "She's not qualified, she'll ruin everything." But Alexander ignored them all. For the first time in years, he wasn't thinking about shareholders. He was thinking about possibility. And Emily, she carried her own battles. Rent overdue, her brother needing medicine, her mother working 3 jobs. Yet every day she still came. Not for money, not for fame, but because she meant it. "I'll help you walk." By the end of week 1, Alexander noticed something strange. It wasn't a miracle, it wasn't magic, but his legs twitched, slightly, almost unnoticeable. Emily saw it instantly. Her eyes lit up with tears. "You see? You're not done, your body is listening." Alexander wanted to deny it, but deep down, a spark returned. For the first time, he thought, maybe she's right. And yet, just as progress began, danger quietly followed. A rival inside the company watched. If Alexander recovered, his empire remained. If not, they would take it all. And the one obstacle in their way, a poor girl named Emily Carter. The next morning, Emily returned again, notebook in hand, smile like light. The sky outside was gray, but she carried brightness inside. Alexander watched her walk in. A strange warmth filled his chest, a feeling he hadn't allowed. Why does she keep returning? What does she want from me? He didn't ask. Instead, he said coldly, "You're late by 2 minutes." Emily laughed softly. "I guess billionaires measure time in seconds." For a moment, his lips twitched, almost forming a smile, but he hid it quickly. He couldn't admit this girl was breaking through his armor. Training began, slow but steady. Emily guided his stretches patiently. Every breath, every movement counted. Yet doubt gnawed at him inside. "Emily," he asked suddenly, "do you really think I'll walk?" Her hand paused on his arm. She looked into his eyes. "I don't think I believe. And until you believe too, we'll keep fighting together." Something stirred inside him, faith, fragile but present. That evening, Emily left the building. 2 men in suits stopped her. "Miss Carter?" one asked sharply. "We'd like a word." Emily frowned, uneasy. "About what?" The man's smile was cold. "About your involvement with Mr. Blackwood." Her stomach tightened immediately. She had expected whispers. "But not this, not so soon." "We represent the board," the man said, "and we advise you to step away. For your own good." Emily's fist clenched hard. "Why? Because I'm poor? Because I don't belong?" "Because," the man replied coldly, "he doesn't need false hope. You're just a distraction." That night, Emily couldn't sleep. Her brother's medicine on her mind, her mother's tired face, the rent bill on the counter. Walking away would be easier, safer. But when she closed her eyes, she saw Alexander's hands trembling in frustration. She heard his voice, broken. "I'm broken, Emily. Don't you get it?" And she remembered her own promise. "I'll help you walk." No, she couldn't leave, not now. Not when he was so close to believing again. The next morning, Alexander noticed her silence. "You look troubled," he said. Emily shook her head quickly. "It's nothing," but he wasn't fooled. Years of reading people in boardrooms had sharpened his instincts. "Who spoke to you?" he pressed. Emily hesitated. Then she told him about the men, the warning, the threat disguised as polite advice. Alexander's jaw tightened. His hands curled into fists on the armrests. "They think they can scare you off?" His voice dripped with venom. "They underestimate you." Emily smiled faintly. "Maybe, but they don't underestimate you. They're afraid of what happens if you stand again." Her words struck him. For years he had seen his wheelchair as weakness, but now he realized it was also power. His rivals had grown comfortable seeing him like this. They never expected him to rise again. And suddenly, Alexander wanted it even more. Not just to prove to himself, not just for Emily, but to take back everything they thought they could steal. The next training session was brutal. Emily pushed him harder. Alexander fought through pain, through trembling muscles and beads of sweat. At one point he shouted, "Enough! I can't," but Emily's voice cut through. "Yes, you can. One more try for you, for everything they stole from you." His teeth clenched, and slowly, painfully, his foot shifted forward an inch. It was small, insignificant to anyone else, but to them, it was everything. Alexander's chest heaved. Emily's eyes glistened. "You see, you're not finished." And for the first time, Alexander didn't argue. He only whispered, "Don't leave me, Emily." "Not until I stand," her heart skipped. And softly she replied, "I won't." But as the two grew closer, the world outside sharpened its knives. The board was restless. Rivals were plotting. And one man in particular, Victor Hale, Alexander's oldest enemy, decided Emily Carter needed to disappear before she made the impossible possible. Victor Hale was not a man who liked waiting. The moment reports reached him that Alexander Blackwood was training with someone, he wanted answers. And answers came quickly. A poor delivery girl, Emily Carter, living in a crumbling apartment, caring for a sick brother, barely surviving. Victor smiled. He smelled weakness, and weakness to him was leverage. That evening, Emily returned home from training, her muscles sore, her hands aching. She dropped her bag on the floor, ready to check on her brother's medication, when there was a knock on the door. Not the gentle knock of a neighbor. A slow, deliberate knock. She opened the door cautiously. A tall man stood there. Sharp suit, silver hair, eyes like knives. "Miss Carter," he said smoothly. "My name is Victor Hale." Emily froze. She had heard Alexander mention the name once, spoken with bitterness and venom. Victor Hale, the rival who had been circling Blackwood Industries like a vulture for years. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice steady despite the chill crawling up her spine. Victor stepped inside without asking, his presence filling the tiny apartment. He glanced at the peeling wallpaper, the worn furniture, the stack of unpaid bills on the counter, and he smirked. "You've been busy with Alexander," he said. "Too busy, perhaps, to think of your family." Emily stiffened. "My family is none of your concern." "Oh, but it is." Victor's tone was silk hiding a blade. "You see, your brother's medication is expensive, isn't it? Your rent overdue? And yet here you are, playing nurse to a man who will never walk again." Emily's jaw tightened. "You don't know what you're talking about." Victor's smile widened. "I know exactly what I'm talking about. You want a better life, Miss Carter? I can give it to you." He pulled out an envelope. Thick, heavy, stuffed with cash. "Take this," he said, "and walk away. Forget Alexander. Forget his foolish dream of standing again. He is finished. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you and your family will be safe." Emily stared at the envelope. Her heart pounded. The money could pay the rent, buy her brother's medication, save her mother from exhaustion. For one dangerous moment, she almost reached out. But then she saw Alexander in her mind, sweat dripping from his forehead, his foot moving forward an inch, the hope in his eyes when he whispered, "Don't leave me, Emily. Not until I stand." Her hand froze. Tears burned her eyes, and she knew she couldn't betray him. Her hand curled into a fist. She pushed the envelope back. "No." Victor blinked. "No, I won't abandon him. Not for you, not for money, not for anything." Victor's smile faded. His eyes turned cold. "You'll regret this." The door slammed shut. The apartment felt darker. Emily collapsed on the couch, terrified, but more determined than ever. Next morning, Alexander noticed. Her pale face, the dark circles. "What happened?" he asked. Emily told him everything, the envelope, the offer, the threat. Alexander's face darkened. Fury burned in his eyes. "Victor, he dares threaten you?" His fist slammed the wheelchair. For once, his anger wasn't for himself, it was for her. "Emily," he growled. "If Victor thinks he can scare you, he hasn't seen me fight yet." Training changed. It wasn't recovery anymore, it was war. Every push, every stretch, every painful inch. Another strike against Victor. Emily pushed harder. Alexander pushed harder. Something new sparked, not just trust, not just loyalty, a fire. One that burned against fear, against doubt, against Victor Hale himself. Alexander Blackwood wasn't alone. He had Emily Carter. Together, unstoppable. But Victor didn't forgive. Emily's defiance bruised his pride. Alexander's progress mocked his power. So Victor planned. And when Victor planned, innocent people suffered. The city buzzed. Alexander Kane was back a year ago, broken, humiliated. Now hosting a charity gala, inviting the most powerful. Some whispered, some mocked, some doubted. But one man seethed, Victor Hale. "This fool crawls back?" He slammed his glass. "He'll regret showing his face." He picked up his phone. "Make sure that night-in belongs to me." Meanwhile, at the mansion, Dr. Patel adjusted the therapy bars. "All right, Alexander. Today we push past limits." Alexander's hands gripped tight, his body trembled. Sweat poured down his face. Every step felt like chains. But his eyes locked on Emily. Again, he gasped, "Don't let me stop." Emily's heart ached. She wanted to stop him, but she didn't because she saw the fire. He needed this fight. At night, therapy ended. Alexander collapsed in his chair. Emily brought water, wiped his sweat. Sometimes he caught her staring. Did she see the broken man or the one rising again? One night he whispered, "Emily, and why are you still here? Your job, your home. You've lost everything because of me." She froze, then leaned closer. "I'm here because I believe in you. Not the billionaire, not the empire. You and I won't walk away." Alexander's chest tightened. For the first time in months, he wasn't alone. Across the city, Victor moved. Reporters bribed, rumors leaked. By gala night, headlines waited. Alexander Kane still broken. Billionaire's desperate stunt. Victor wanted humiliation, wanted Emily to see him fall. But Emily had her own plan. The day before the gala, she walked into his study. A small velvet box in her hands. "What's this?" Alexander asked. She opened it. Custom-designed braces, lightweight. Hidden under trousers, expensive. Bought with her own sacrifices. Tears pricked Alexander's eyes. "You did this and for me?" Emily smiled softly. "No. For us, because when you walk into that gala, you won't be walking alone." That night, Alexander lay awake. His heart didn't race with fear, but with something he hadn't felt in so long. Hope tomorrow the world would watch. Tomorrow Victor Hale would wait for him to fall. But tomorrow, with Emily by his side, he would rise. The Kane Foundation Gala. Once the crown jewel of the city. Chandeliers like stars, music, wealth, power. But this year everyone came for one man, Alexander Kane. Outside the ballroom, chaos. Cameras flashing, reporters shouting. Will Alexander Kane walk tonight? Is he still bound to a wheelchair? Rumor says Victor Hale is taking over. Victor arrived first, tailored suit. Cold smirk. He loved the questions. He loved the whispers. Mr. Hale, a reporter called. Are you replacing Kane on the board? Victor chuckled darkly. I don't deal in rumors. But if a king can't stand, maybe it's time for a new one. The crowd laughed nervously. Victor thrived in it. Then silence. The Kane limousine pulled up. The chauffeur opened the door. Emily stepped out first, elegant, steady, glowing. She turned, extended her hand. And then Alexander appeared. He stood, not in a wheelchair. Not carried by anyone, he stood tall. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Is that Kane walking? No, it can't be. He's standing on his own. Cameras flashed wildly. Every step was heavy. Every muscle trembled, but Alexander never looked down. Emily walked beside him, his steady flame guiding him inside. Whispers filled the ballroom. Some clapped, others doubted. At the front table, Victor's smirk faltered. This wasn't the plan. Kane was supposed to fall. Instead, he was walking. Victor leaned toward his aide, hissing, "Double the pressure." He won't last the speech. The orchestra stilled. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Alexander Kane. Spotlight blazed. Alexander stepped on stage one step, then another. Each step slow, painful, but everyone drew applause. Emily clasped her hands tight, praying with every breath. He reached the podium, gripped it with both hands, looked out over the sea of faces, skeptics, believers, and one pair of eyes, burning with hate. Victor Hale. Alexander's voice cut through the silence. Good evening. I know what you expected tonight. You came to see a broken man, but I am here to remind you. Strength is not measured by how many times you fall, but by how many times you rise again. The room erupted, thunderous applause. Reporters scrambled for every word, and Victor Hale realized his plan was crumbling, but he wasn't finished. The applause roared as Alexander stepped back, every clap like a victory drum. But inside, his body screamed. Emily's eyes shone with tears. He had done it, he had proven them wrong. But across the ballroom, Victor's cold smile returned. It wasn't over. Moments later, the charity auction began. Lights dimmed, guests laughed, drank, whispered. At the head table, Alexander's legs trembled. Emily leaned close. Maybe we should go home. You've done enough. But Alexander shook his head. No, tonight isn't just about me walking. It's about showing them I'm still in control. Victor doesn't win tonight. And then the big screen behind the stage flickered. It was supposed to display auction items shining on screen. Instead, grainy footage appeared suddenly, a younger Alexander shouting, slamming papers, fury in his voice. Gasps filled the ballroom air. Did he really talk like that? Was he this cruel? Emily's chest tightened painfully. This wasn't random at all. It was cut, edited, to destroy him completely. In the corner, Victor smirked, wine glass in hand, watching with delight. Reporters scribbled furiously, guests whispered. The applause was gone. Victor stood slowly, feigning concern. Maybe tonight's hero is not who we think. The crowd stirred louder. Victor had them controlled, every word slicing Alexander's image. Emily grabbed his trembling hand, his knuckles white, jaw tight, years of control crumbling in front of everyone. Alexander, don't let him win. Emily rose, chair scraping the marble floor. All eyes turned, her voice rang clear. Those clips, years old. I know the man now. He fought to walk again. He treats strangers with kindness. He is not his past, he is who he is today. The room froze silent. Her words struck deep, deeper than Victor's lies. Victor shouted, "Don't be fooled. The facts are on screen." But the guests weren't watching the video anymore. They were watching Emily and Alexander rising to his feet, legs burning but unbroken. You're right, Victor. I wasn't always right, but I learned, I changed. And unlike you, I'm not trapped in the past. Applause thundered, cheers, cameras flashing wildly. Victor's face darkened, his perfect plan slipping away. But Victor wasn't finished. Touching speech, he sneered. But tonight, we reveal his secrets. New files appeared on screen, bank transfers, hidden accounts, money moved overseas. Gas rippled again. Embezzlement? Fraud? Victor raised his arms. See? He built lies. Alexander Stone is a fraud. Alexander's jaw tightened. Emily's hand squeezed his. Her eyes whispered, "Don't let him win." Alexander's voice steadied. Yes, the accounts exist. But those funds built shelters, schools, scholarships. Anonymous donations, no credit. Only impact. Whispers turned softer. Some heads nodded slowly. Emily stepped forward boldly. I've seen the receipts. He rebuilt lives. Not his empire, Victor snarled. Lies, clever lies. He pointed to the files. They prove corruption. Before anyone moved, a calm voice cut in. I've already checked. All eyes turned. Clara, Alexander's former assistant. She raised a flash drive. These files are fake, doctored by Victor himself. He paid me to bury the truth. Gasps thundered again. Victor's smirk shattered. Gasps exploded like gunfire. Reporters lunged forward, cameras rolling endlessly. Victor's composure shattered. You traitor, he screamed. But Clara stood firm. I was your accomplice once. Tonight, I'm his witness. Emily's eyes widened in shock. Alexander's lips parted slowly. The betrayer was now the savior. Clara plugged in the drive. Real files filled the screen. Every transfer explained, every donation accounted, every false trail obliterated. The crowd erupted in cheers. Victor stumbled backward, pale, sweat dripped. His empire was crumbling, but Victor wasn't finished. Desperation burned in his eyes. You think this changes anything? You're still weak, Alexander. You'll fall again. And I'll bury you, he stormed out furiously, threats echoing like thunder. Alexander stood taller than ever, Emily by his side, Clara in quiet regret. The night wasn't victory alone. It was the start of war. Emily couldn't sleep that night. City skyline gleamed outside. Her reflection ghosted the glass. Every passing car below, every flicker in the street, her heart raced wildly. Victor's words haunted her, somewhere in the dark. He was watching. Alexander rolled closer silently. "Emily," he whispered gently. "Step away from the window, you're trembling." Her voice cracked. "What if he's out there? What if he's waiting for me alone?" Alexander's chest tightened. Nothing cut deeper than her fear. He gripped her hand firmly. "We're not powerless, Emily. Not anymore." Next morning, security tightened. New surveillance systems installed. 2 trusted men hired. But paranoia seeped in. Unmarked cars across the street. Anonymous envelopes slid under doors. One contained a chess pawn. Victor's mocking reminder. The game had begun. Clara whispered nervously. "This is his style. He waits until you slip." Emily's heart sank deeper. Her most vulnerable place wasn't the penthouse. It was the cafe. That evening she resisted. "I won't give it up. If I abandon it, he's already won." Alexander's jaw tightened. "I should be with you." She touched his cheek softly. "We can't live in fear. Let me do this, please." He agreed reluctantly, but sent a man to shadow. The cafe smelled like home, fresh bread, roasted coffee, normalcy trying to breathe, but Emily's eyes darted. Every door opening, every bell ringing, then it happened. The bell jingled. Victor walked in, not storming, not shouting, calm, composed. Dangerous, Emily froze completely. The tray in her hands was shaking. Victor smiled coldly. "Miss Emily," he said. "Fancy meeting you here. Is Alex hiding you?" Her body screamed to run, but she stood tall. "You lost Victor, everyone saw it." He leaned closer, voice sharp, poisonous. "You think I'm ruined? I multiply." "And you are his weak point," Emily trembled. But before she answered, Alexander's guard stepped forward. "Sir, leave now." Victor's eyes flashed. Then he laughed coldly. "Very well. But remember, Emily, I don't need to touch you. Sometimes one whisper is enough to destroy him." The bell jingled again. Victor vanished into the street. But Emily knew nothing was ordinary anymore. He wasn't just threatening, he was planning. Back at the penthouse, her hands still shook. His smirk haunted her mind. Alexander wheeled closer slowly. His knuckles turned white. "He walked into your life. That was a warning shot. He wants us rattled." Clara snapped sharply. "No, that was his war. If you wait, Alex, he'll gut you first." Alexander's jaw clenched hard. He'd always fought defensive, but now Emily was target. This wasn't boardrooms anymore. This was personal. "No more waiting," he said. Voice calm, deadly calm. "We take the fight." Clara nodded coldly. "His empire is fortress, but every fortress has a crack." "I know his crack." She set a flash drive. Emily's eyes widened quickly. "What's on it?" Clara's voice darkened. "Proof his wealth is dirty. Laundering shell core. Offshore accounts all tied back to him." Alexander held the drive. It felt like a weapon. "With this, we bury him. Not just market, courts, public eye. Everywhere." But Clara wasn't relieved. "There's a catch," she said. "Victor knows I stole this. That's why he circles you." "He'll silence me." Through Emily. Emily froze in terror. Her chest caved inward. She wasn't bystander anymore. She was leverage. Victor's perfect weak point. Alexander's eyes hardened. No more hiding. Clara, prep the files. Emily, stay by my side. Victor has no idea what happens when I'm provoked. For first time, Emily saw it, not survival, but fire. A man ready to burn. 2 days later, the strike began. Rumors in financial papers, anonymous leaks online, fraud exposed, transactions unraveled. Headlines screamed Victor's name. Corruption, laundering, lies. His empire cracked. Alexander had drawn blood. But then, rainy night, Emily felt safe until a photograph slid inside. Her walking alone from cafe. Taken yesterday. On the back, ink scrawled, "You strike at me, I strike at her." Emily's hands shook violently. He was watching me. He was right there. Alexander gripped the photo. It bent in his fist. This isn't intimidation. It's his message. He can reach you. Anytime. Anywhere. Clara slammed the table. I told you, Victor never bluffs. He marks, then destroys. Emily's voice cracked. So what do I do? Stay locked forever? Alexander turned steady. No, you'll live, you'll smile. You'll walk free, but never without security. That night, guards doubled. SUVs followed Emily's car. Every shadow questioned. Still, she felt watched. Then it happened. Leaving the gallery, she entered the SUV too late, wrong driver. The doors locked tightly, a voice from front seat. Evening, Miss Hayes. Her blood froze. Penthouse. Alexander's phone buzzed. Unknown number flashing. He answered. Victor's venom spilled through. Beautiful night, Alex. Emily looks radiant. Fear suits her well. Alexander's rage boiled. What have you done? Victor chuckled darkly. Relax, she's safe for now. But if you want her, hand me Clara. And the drive. Alexander's heart pounded. Emily, his Emily, was hostage. The stakes shifted forever. No longer power games. This was a hostage war. Alexander's jaw clenched so tightly it hurt. Victor's voice still echoed in his ear, each word dripping with mockery. Clara paced the room, pale as chalk. You can't give me up, she said, tears pooling in her eyes. You know what Victor will do to me if he gets me back? Alexander wheeled forward, his voice cutting through the tension. I'm not giving you up. Not now, not ever. He turned to the guards. Trace that call. Find out where he's keeping Emily. The head of security hesitated. Sir, Victor knows how to mask his trail. If we move recklessly, he'll... Alexander's fist slammed against the armrest of his chair. I don't care, we find him. And when we do, I'll end this. Hours passed, the penthouse transformed into a war room. Screens lit up with maps, intercepted signals, and every shred of intelligence they could scrape together. Clara finally broke the silence. There's only one way this works. Victor expects you to trade me. So, let him think you will. Alexander looked at her, conflicted. That's too dangerous. He'll kill you the second you step foot in his hands. Clara's eyes hardened. And he'll kill Emily if we do nothing. At least this way we have a chance. Finally, the trace pinged. An abandoned estate on the city's outskirts, isolated, guarded exactly Victor's style. Alexander made his decision. He dialed Victor back. His voice was calm, cold. You'll have Clara tomorrow night. But if Emily is harmed before then, the entire city will know everything you've buried. Victor chuckled on the other end. Now that's the Alexander I remember. See you soon. That night, Alexander sat alone, staring out at the skyline. The city glittered, alive, but for him it all felt hollow. His mind replayed every moment with Emily. Her laugh, her stubbornness. The way she believed in him when he didn't believe in himself. He whispered into the night, Hold on, Emily. I'm coming for you. The next evening, under a blood-red sunset, 2 black SUVs rolled toward the abandoned estate. Inside one, Clara sat pale but composed. In the other, Alexander prepared, his chair outfitted with hidden compartments, each concealing more than just steel. This wasn't a surrender, it was a trap.